What is the difference between $140 million and $700 million when both mean your family never has to worry again? That is the question every player is actually asking when a team puts that number on the table. Teams are handing out $100 million contracts to players who have never faced a single major league pitch. I am an active MLB player. I have watched this happen from the inside. Here is what nobody is telling you about why both sides keep saying yes. Let me start with the player side, because this is where it gets real. Baseball is a hard game, the hardest. You play 162 games against the best players in the world. Pitchers are throwing 98 miles an hour with a breaking ball that moves 2 feet every single day for 6 months, and then you do it again next year. The average MLB career lasts less than 6 years. Most players who get drafted never make it to the big leagues at all, and the ones who do make it, most of them never see free agency. That is the reality of the game that nobody talks about when a 19-year-old is sitting across the table from a general manager. Careers end without warning. One play, one swing, one slide into second base. Everything you worked for your entire life can change in a single moment. So, when a team puts $140 million guaranteed in front of a 19-year-old kid and his family, that number represents a kind of security that most people never get to experience in their lifetime. And here's the question every player in that position is really asking himself. Not, am I leaving money on the table? But, what do I actually want from my career? What am I trying to accomplish? Some players look at Juan Soto, they look at Shohei Ohtani, and they say, that is what I am working toward. I believe in myself. Nothing is going to get in my way. I am going all the way. And some players, the honest ones, say something different. They say baseball is a tough game. I believe in myself. I think I am great, but there are so many uncertainties in life, and someone is offering me money that sets my family up forever. What is the real difference between $140 million and $700 million when both mean my family never has to worry again? That is not weakness. That is a values decision. And it is one that every player in that situation has to make for himself. Jackson Merrill said it better than anyone when he signed his 9-year, $135 million extension with the Padres after his rookie season. He said, you cannot just sign for $700 million and expect everything to be perfect. He wanted the Padres to have enough money around him to build a winner. He took less because he understood that winning required the team to have flexibility. That is a player who knew exactly what he wanted from his career, and it was not the biggest number possible. Here's something I can tell you from inside a clubhouse that nobody else can. When a player signs one of these extensions and his family is taken care of, it changes how he plays. Not because he stops caring, but because he stops carrying that extra weight. The weight of uncertainty, the weight of what happens if something goes wrong before he gets to prove his value. When you know that no matter what happens, your family is secure, you play with a freedom that is hard to describe. You go out there and compete, and for a lot of players, that security makes them better. Now let me show you what these deals actually look like when they play out. Ronald Acuña won the MVP award in 2023. He became the first player in history to hit 40 home runs and steal 70 bases in a season. Heading into this year, 34 outfielders make more money annually than he does. He signed 8 years, $100 million after one rookie season. That is the cost of signing early when you become the best player in baseball. Corbin Carroll, 8 years, $111 million, 32 games of Major League experience when he signed. He went on to win Rookie of the Year at his market value after proving himself that contract was worth potentially $200 million more, or even beyond that. Looking at how Carroll has played, he certainly left money on the table, but what does it matter when you already have life-changing money? But here's the honest question. How many players become Ronald Acuña or Corbin Carroll? The reality is most of these deals work out reasonably well for both sides. Players get life-changing money. Teams get cost certainty on players they believe in. The system mostly functions. But here's where it gets tricky. Keibert Ruiz, 8 years, $50 million with the Nationals. A young catcher with real upside on a rebuilding team. Today, he has had concussion issues and has struggled to produce at the level both sides hoped for. The Nationals made a calculated gamble because they felt like they had to. They knew they could not compete with him in free agency, so they tried to buy his years early. It did not work out the way they hoped. But even at one WAR per year, Ruiz is serviceable value at $6.25 million annually. It is not a disaster. It is just not what anyone envisioned. Here is what teams never say publicly. They know that a 19-year-old with his parents in the room is more likely to say yes than a proven veteran who knows exactly what he is worth. The entire extension system is built around that moment. Teams have 6 years of control over a player, 3 years at near minimum salary, 3 years of arbitration, and then he is gone. When a team spends years developing, coaching, and investing in their generational talent, free agency can be a nightmare. Extensions let teams buy those free agent years at a discount before the player has the evidence to demand full price. And here's the thing worth understanding about how that timeline works. The longer a player waits, the more he can typically earn. Carroll at 32 games got more than Griffin at 0. Merrill, after a full All-Star rookie season, got more than Carroll. Every level of proof adds to the number. The earlier a team signs a player, the less evidence exists, and the lower the price. That gap between what teams pay early and what players would earn if they waited, that is the entire business of the extension. Griffin at $15.6 million per year average. If he becomes what everyone believes he is going to become, that number looks absurd in 5 years. Juan Soto is making $62 million per year. If Griffin reaches that tier, the Pirates just bought 9 years of a generational player for a fraction of market value. Teams also understand something that does not get talked about enough. The moment these conversations happen, when a team sits down with a young player and his family and puts life-changing money on the table, the emotions in that room are real. The player is 19 years old. The number on the paper is more money than his entire family has ever seen combined. Teams are not doing anything wrong by making that offer, but they know that a player in that moment is more likely to say yes than a player who has already proven himself and knows exactly what he is worth. But that is just the reality of how leverage works in professional baseball, which brings us back to Griffin. The Pirates had real developmental concerns. That part is true. His spring training numbers were not great. He had never played a game above AA. Sending him to Triple A to start the year made organizational sense. But it is also true that every day he spent in Triple A was another day the extension conversations continued with a player who had not yet played a major league game. Teams understand that dynamic. Players understand it too. And the moment the deal got done, he got called up. Think about that. There is one more thing worth understanding about these extensions that almost nobody talks about. When a star player signs early and skips the arbitration process, nobody is mad at him. Nobody is resentful. You look at a guy who just got $140 million guaranteed, and you think, good for him. He got his family taken care of. That is an incredible blessing. But here's the quiet reality. Every player who signs early and skips arbitration is a player who never gets to set the bar higher for everyone who comes after him. The arbitration system rises when great players go through it, as does free agency. When the best players keep signing early, the salaries that get established in arbitration do not reach the heights they otherwise would. Nobody is angry about it. It is simply a side effect of individual decisions that make complete sense for the person making them. And it is one more reason why December matters. The union is not trying to take anything away from players who want to sign extensions. They are trying to make sure that players get paid more earlier in their careers, no matter which path they choose. Whether a player signs at 19 or goes all the way to free agency at 28, the union wants that player to be compensated closer to what he is actually worth at every stage. That conversation is coming in December, and it is going to change how these decisions get made for the next generation of players. So who wins these deals? Griffin, Emerson, Pratt, Merrill, Carroll, every one of them made a bet. Acuna signed for $100 million and became the MVP. Carroll left potentially $200 million or more on the table and proved everyone right. Merrill took less on purpose and built something real. Ruiz got paid and things have not gone quite the way anyone hoped. Somebody could be very right about the Griffin deal and somebody could be very wrong. I want to know what you think. Who wins, the player or the team? And do you want to see players take the money early or bet on themselves and go all the way to free agency? Drop it in the comments. I want to see where fans stand. I am the anonymous MLBer. Subscribe. There is a lot more coming, and it only gets more important from here.